Hello, welcome to the West Ham Way YouTube. Myself, Mark Carlaw, and Riley Finch. Riley, mate, we've got a big game coming up this Sunday on the back of 2 wins as well, which is so we're going in a little bit of our towels up, you'd feel. Fulham at home, London derby. What are your thoughts going into the game? Are you feeling confident?
I wasn't maybe like a week or so ago, but we're starting to look a little bit better, aren't we? I mean, I didn't actually catch all of the Wolves game, but from what people have sort of told me from the kind of consensus, we seem to have played a lot better, especially going forward and stuff. And obviously, the game on Thursday as well. Again, it's a tough game, and you look at it and you say 1-0, but we did have quite a few chances that game. And obviously, we didn't go full strength. I mean, 70 minutes on, we put on Paqueta and Scamacca, and we, instant impact. So, and obviously Fulham as well. Luckily, maybe without Mitrovic as well, which is a huge boost for us. Obviously, the little column on that in the West Ham Way. So yeah, I'm feeling fairly confident. I'm feeling more confident than I was a couple of weeks ago. But this is probably the scariest Fulham side we've seen in quite a few years. I mean, Fulham used to be that side where you saw that's an easy 6 points every season, but they look the real deal this season.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, going back to your first points, I think going back to the Wolves game, I thought we played well overall, but I mean, it wasn't the best performance because I think we had something like 39% possession, so they had a lot of the ball. But what was effective is that when we had possession, we looked a threat, whereas they never really did. They were very good at keeping the ball, but they never really looked like scoring. So I was delighted with that, and also don't forget we was coming on the back of a bad run of results. So I think there was a lot of nerves around the ground. So I think it was just relief more than anything. But the midweek game, Anderlecht, I thought it was a really good performance. Considering, like you say, it wasn't over our first team. A lot of changes made. And I think he made 9 changes from the Wolves game.
Change of formation as well, I think, with
Yeah,
the
change of
back five.
formation. It was a real shift around, and I actually thought we played really well, considering that was it is our toughest game in the group away to Anderlecht, and I thought to come away with 3 points, I thought was fantastic. I'd actually say that Fulham today or tomorrow, shall I say, is the most confident I've got in all season. I pretty much haven't felt confident in any game really this season, I'll be honest. And even the Wolves game, I was quite nervous before it. But this is the one I'm sort of actually feeling like I'm quite confident we're going to get a result. Like
Can't
you say,
underestimate
Mitrovic.
this Fulham side, mate. I mean, honestly, they look the real deal this season. I mean, we're not confident going into the Forest game.
I suppose I wouldn't say I was confident. The only reason I wasn't confident was because of the magnitude of what it was for them, because it was their first home Premier League game. So it was just like a kind of typical. I just knew we were going to lose. It was obvious. Lingard playing as well. It just had it written all over it that we were going to lose that game. I mean, how on earth Steve Cooper could come out at the end of the game and say they deserved that result was ridiculous. I actually lost a lot of respect for him after that because they would have been lucky to get a draw. We should have easily scored 3 goals. So yeah, I'm not going to worry about that too much because they're bottom of the league, and so what? So they're where they belong, I believe, at the moment. To be honest, they've been pretty poor, but no, I actually think that this is the first time of a game I'm genuinely going into it thinking, I'd be surprised. If we got a draw, I'd be disappointed against Fulham. I do feel that, and I'm not, and that's not me like having a dig at Fulham. Like you say, they are a decent side, but ultimately we are a much stronger outfit, and even with Mitrovic, I'd expect us to win. But as you say, I think it's looking likely that he's going to be out, which is going to be a big lift for us because I think without him they're pretty toothless, to be honest. I mean, we saw that against Newcastle; they really struggled. So if he's not playing, then we've got to be getting the point, surely, mate.
Well, I don't know. I've heard about this little centre back they've got called Issa Diop, and I think he's going to put in a masterful performance. I'm not so sure about that one. But
do you know what? It's typical. He's going to have a great game, though, isn't it? Now,
absolutely.
If he plays, he'll score and be able to play out of his skin. You just know it's going to happen.
He's been so crap for them so far, and I think every single Fulham fan has sort of said, "Well, we can kind of see where you're coming from, but you just know he's going to get the captain's armband for that game. He's going to be like prime Maldini. He's going to be scoring overhead kicks at the other end of the pitch. I mean, it's so classic West Ham, isn't it? I mean, I'm still gobsmacked that Lingard didn't score against us in the Forest game. If you're going to put your money on anyone, it would have been him. But yeah, I mean, look, side for side, especially with the kind of, we're going to talk about it in a later video, but the kind of form that Scamacca and Paqueta are on at the moment. I mean, Scamacca especially, he's got to start, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think so. I would like to see what we did against Wolves, same sort of lineup. I would like to see, Kira back at right, just to keep right back, same defence. There's an argument about the goalkeeper. I think now, I think personally, Moyes has got to park this loyalty thing with players. You've got to be ruthless. We want to win games, and you just got to say to Fabianski, don't get me wrong, I really like Fabianski. He's been a fantastic player for us. But ultimately, I think we're seeing that Ariola's really starting to step up now. And the fact that save against Anderlecht, it wasn't just the fact it was a really good save, because obviously it was an incredibly good save, but it's the fact that he barely had anything to do all game. And that's a sign of a very good goalkeeper that's, let's be honest, probably bored from pretty much 75, 80 minutes of the match, didn't have much to do at all. And then he pulls off a save like that when he's called upon. And it's like, and I was talking to, I think I was actually talking to Sid, the guy who wrote the book with David X, and he was saying he's right, and he sort of compared it to Peter Schmeichel back in the day. So he barely had anything to do most of the games, but then when he was called upon, he pulled off like an incredibly good save, and to keep Man United going. So I actually get the feeling Ariola is that good now. Like, he's a very good keeper, and I think that's my only argument. I think at this lineup, I'd be starting to think that we need to be playing him more often. But yeah, go back to your question, mate. Yeah, starting with Skamaka. I think having Antonio on the bench is brilliant. It's such a good option to have. What do you think? Is that would you go for the same?
Oh yeah, you got to start Skamaka. There's no question of it now. I mean, his form in Europe is unquestionable, and he's got his first goal. I mean, if there's anyone who should in that lineup who should have his tail up right now, besides Flynn Downs, it should be Skamaka. I mean,
yeah,
the guy knows where the net is, and I feel like if you put Skamaka on for 70 minutes, you're guaranteed to at least give him one chance to where he has an ability to score. And then if you put Chuck on Antonio for the last 20, fair enough. I think who's got the better shot? It's easily Skamaka, who brings more players into play, who's the better passer of the ball. I mean, unfortunately, and I love Antonio. I'm such a big Antonio fan. But, if you're thinking who would you rather play for 70, 80 minutes, it's got to be Skamaka, just for what he can do on the pitch, for the way he brings in people into play. I mean, it will be a clash of systems because Fulham do play a 4-2-3-1. And obviously, we, at the moment, kind of play a 4-2-3-1 as well. So...
yes.
And I just and their centre backs aren't exactly big and strong. I mean, Tosin Adarabioyo is quite a good centre back, but I think Skamaka's going to eat for dinner, mate. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's
No,
no doubt in my mind that he's got to be on that team sheet.
I totally agree, mate. And as you say, it's not just the fact of how well he's been playing in Europe. It's the fact that he's just got his first Premier League goal, and he's starting to look the full package, isn't he? Like, I think I know that when I say we, me, had criticised David Moyes previously regarding this whole sort of bedding in period, but to be fair, it seems to be slightly paying off actually with Skamaka now. Like, he looks a different player to the one that first ran out against City. Although he's always looked quite impressive, like you can just see he's starting to get to grips with the Premier League, starting to get a little bit stronger, seems to be a little bit quicker with his decision making. And dare I say, even Paqueta, when he first started, he looked quiet. It's almost like he was expecting too much time on the ball. He was expecting, a bit more freedom to play. I think he's sort of wising up quite quickly that this league's very different. Like, you just don't have that time. You've got to make your decisions quickly and deal with it. And already you're starting to see that in his play. Like, he's getting a bit used to it. So, fair play to David Moyes. Maybe this is right the way he's been dealing with Skamaka, because I don't know. He really reminds me of I get the feeling of like we have with Dean Ashton, that sort of real top draw striker. Like, we've got a real quality finisher on our hands. And as you say, I love Antonio, but Skamaka is a proper article, and he's a real proper striker. And I agree. I would love to see him start again. And also having Antonio on the bench it's just a brilliant option, isn't it, to have if you need it? I mean, if you're a defender and you've been marking Skamaka for an hour, and all of a sudden you see Mickey warming up, you'd be thinking, oh my God, I've got half an hour of him. Like, this is going to be a nightmare, because especially when he's fresh, he's just going to be a monster. The one question I would put to you then is, and we will talk about this in another video as well, a bit more detail, is the midfield situation. Obviously, Declan Rice occupies the sort of the defensive midfield role as such, but then obviously we've got the sort of number 8 role that sits with Souček at the moment for Premier League games. But Flynn Downs, obviously, another man of the match performance in the week. Has he done enough, do you think? Did you think he should now be going ahead of Souček?
Oh, Fliniesta, mate. I mean, he's absolutely brilliant. There's no doubt in my mind he should be playing ahead of Souček. I mean, it's weird because when Downs plays, the roles kind of reverse a little bit. I think, Declan Rice goes forward and sort of brings the ball forward a lot more, and Downs does sit in the deep sort of area. I haven't really seen him go forward too much. I mean, he's an excellent passer of the ball. We know that already. He's got 97% of the championship last year.
Yeah.
He's a great passer of the ball. We all know that. His breakup play is really, really good. Dare I say it, towards the levels of Declan Rice. But I do think Declan Rice is really good going forward. You know, he's really good on the ball. Shot probably needs a
Mm.
bit more sort of work on it, but and I also think he's one of the best passers of the ball.
Mm.
Well, in our squad, dare I say, even the league. I think that needs to be explored a lot more going forward. So I think you play Flynn Downs and you kind of have him in the defensive role and allow Rice to go more forward as a
Yeah.
box to box. I think Rice would really enjoy that as well. I think that he really enjoys going forward. You know, he does it a lot for England. He does it a lot for us.
Mm.
And I just think, you know, having that bit more freedom to do that with Flynn Downs next to him. I think he's got to start, mate. And from that post match interview, I think he deserves it. You know, he says he's kept his head down and worked hard and got his chances. I think one thing that's going to encourage that is saying, well, okay, you can start on Sunday then. You know, I think that's just going
Yeah.
to be really good for him.
I agree. I actually completely agree with everything you said there. I think that, I think it works well for Rice. I think it enables him a little bit more comfort knowing. I just feel like he's more comfortable with Downs next to him. I just get that feeling that
Who wouldn't be, mate?
he is. Yeah, I do. Yeah, exactly. But no, I just a Iniesta. But it's a strange one. The problem is with Moyes is his loyalty. We always know that that's always been a bit of an issue, and I think that's where he's going to struggle. But I actually think that Downs has done enough. I mean, he's played 2 games now in Europe in the Conference League, and has got 2 man of the match performances. I mean, and he's even commented Moyes, hasn't he, after the game, and he said, "Well, he's laid down the the book there, so we need to make a decision on this. He's making us
Mm.
realise that there's a decision that needs to be made." So I actually think he might start. I've got this for Moyes to come out publicly and say that, and to say he was the best player on the pitch as well, which is let's be honest, Moyes is quite careful with his words. He doesn't.
Mm.
He's not. He's an experienced guy. He knows when to say the right things, and not. He's not just going to come out with loose lips and just praise somebody when they don't really deserve it. He obviously is very impressed with Downs. So, and dare I say, I mean, I know we've criticised Souček, and I've recently put up a video, wasn't it, a few days ago, saying about how I probably owed him a bit of an apology, really, because Thomas Souček, because he did put in a decent performance and has turned it around a little bit, but I just think Downs is slightly ahead of him. I really do at the moment, and
I don't think a game. I think it's a bit reactionary. I don't think a game makes that much of a difference. He's been poor for the best part of a year now. So I think we might want to hold the apology video on Thomas Souček a little bit. You know, might want to keep that one
what
in the
about the
draft
letter?
a little
The
bit
letter.
longer. I love him as a guy, but like you say, Downs is just so far ahead of him at the moment in terms of just passing, breaking up the play,
Hmm.
and he's sort of I think Dave and X were talking about, or X specifically talking about Souček kind of hiding behind players and not wanting the ball. You always see Downs getting stuck in, and he clearly wants the ball. He wants to play. He's hungry. And I think
Yeah.
maybe you need that, and like we've said on so many videos before, maybe it just kicks Souček into that extra gear. Maybe he wants to get back playing football. I mean, you saw Kira took Soufal's spot on in the Wolves game, and then
Mm.
Soufal started on Thursday. And
Mm.
all he put on Twitter was, "I love playing football, and that's all it is for me." Maybe that's kicked him into gear, thinking if I want to play football, if I want to play at the right back spot,
Yeah.
I clearly need to improve my performances. So
Yeah.
I think it's
Absolutely.
good on all accounts.
I agree. I don't think it's a bad thing having competition. At the end of the day, Moyes needs to be ruthless, as far as I'm concerned. You got to put friendships and loyalties on that side. Really, you need to just pick your best team. And at the end of
Mm.
the day, like you say, Downs is kind of proven to be a better option in midfield. He's all round play is very, very good. I think, like you say, he's even got the sign of that feeling that of a Declan Rice about him. He's a very, like, you can sort of, and he's only young. He's only going to get better. So it's a very interesting one. It's very interesting. The fact Moyes has commented, it makes me suggest or suggests to me that he is going to seriously consider this change, which will be a big thing to happen. Because really, let's be honest, Rice and Souček have been our 2 midfielders now for best part of 3 years. So for them to suddenly change that is going to be a big thing. But I think Downs have done enough. I really do. So it's going to be interesting. And also, like you say, Scamacca and Antonio, who he goes with. But it's just what's great about us this season, before we wrap this up, mate, is the squad depth. It just feels
Mm.
that there's a real difference about us this season. We've got a bit more quality, and not just depth, it's quality and depth. We've got so many options now, and it's great, isn't it? It's so great to see.
Yeah, I mean, like we've spoken about. I was going to say we haven't mentioned Jarrod Bowen yet. I mean, he looks really, really good, back to his best.
Mm.
You've got Cornet. He can come in. Ben Rama, Lanzini. I mean, we've got so much squad depth at the moment. I mean, I can't lie, mate. If we're doing these videos last year, these videos would be about 5 minutes long. Because you'd be like, "Oh, same 11s last year." Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Exactly. Yeah.
Honestly, but now we can, there's an actual debate about it. There's people saying, should
Mm,
it be Fornal? Should it be Benrahma?
mm,
Should it be Scamacca? Should it be Antonio? Areola,
yeah,
Fabianski? Like, there's an actual debate about it to be had. So, and that's one thing we were definitely missing last season is squad depth. And the ironic thing is that when we use squad depth, everyone's sitting there while we're not playing our best players. So you do kind of feel for David Moyes a little bit because he seems like he could do no right. But yeah,
yeah,
from a
yeah.
fan's point of view, it's really, really good. And having that Scamacca Antonio sort of super sub link, I think is going to be really good for us this season. Very excited.
Yeah, me too, mate. I'm delighted. It's exciting times, mate. And obviously, it's a big game Sunday because really it gives the David Moyes, the club, everybody that feeling that we turned a big corner. If we can get another
Mm.
victory, that's 3 wins on the spin in the space of really a week. It really kind of puts to bed the bad start we've had. It feels like we're sort of like, right, we're getting things back on track and we're going to start going now. And yeah, it's a big game, but I fancy it. So we've got to obviously ask the question, mate.
Mm.
What's the prediction? What do you reckon?
I think West Ham are going to win. I do.
Okay.
It's between 2-0 and 2-1. I think I'm going to give us the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say 2-0 West Ham.
Mm,
Like I said, no Mitrovic, but it's always hard to back us to keep a clean sheet the way we've been playing recently. But we rode her like a tiny bit against Wolves, and I think
yeah.
we've got another clean sheet against Anderlecht on the weekend due to a
Yeah.
big area to save. Why not throw on the bounce? Let's do it. 2-0. I think 2-0 West Ham.
I'm with you. I think we're going to keep a clean sheet, especially if Mitrovic isn't playing, and I think we're going to win 3-0. To be honest, I've just got this
3-0.
feeling. I think it's going to be a good win tomorrow. I've just got this feeling that we're going to be right up for it. The towels are going to be up,
It's
and
annoying because every time you say that, we tend not to have a very good game, mate.
it's true. But yeah,
Unfortunately.
but it's only this season, isn't it? It's only like because we've had such a shitty start, which maybe it is the reason we've had a shitty start. It's my terrible predictions, but maybe no, I'm confident with this. I'm sticking with it 3-0, and
Don't let
Skamaka.
me get in your head, mate. It's fine.
Skamaka will get 2, I think, as well.
Oh,
That's my thing.
you'd absolutely love to see it. I mean, I think either way, we will win it. I think like I say, don't. This is the best Fulham side I've seen in absolute years. It's probably one of the
Mm,
best Fulham sides that they've ever played. With the way
yeah,
they're playing at the moment, obviously, bar probably the Berbatov sort of era.
yeah.
Um, they are dangerous. We shouldn't underestimate them, but I think we are really playing with our tails up at the moment. I think you start players in form, Paqueta, Flynn Downs, Kamaka. I think they're going to sort of carry us to victory. So,
Yeah,
yeah, it's over for a win on Sunday, mate.
let's have it, mate. So I really hope so, mate, because that's it's a big one. Thanks for watching, everyone. Cheers.